Hello everyone, it is Christine here and we have our next prompt for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and the prompt we have received is mossy woods. And so I thought I would start with two pieces that might give you some inspiration if you're thinking through how you want to approach it. The first of the pieces is this beautiful one which I created at the Fleur Woods retreat at Green Door Studios that I was lucky enough to attend back in March this year. And so, yeah, absolutely loved creating this over the course of the week. And it's a treasured sort of first texture creation that I've done in this style. And subsequent to that, I've made some smaller versions. I gifted Mum one as a Mother's Day present. And then as part of one of the other prompts, which was the nest and bird, I created this one because I wanted to have the rose-breasted robin, which creates these mossy sort of nests, and they're in the Dandenong Ranges, which is near to me. So I created and had such a ball working on this really textural piece. Now it's not yet mounted on the page. I'm waiting till I think till the end till I put all my stand-up accordion style display books together. They'll sit along the front of a shelf. So I kind of want to see how many pages I get and then work out the format. But I just love the little details, all the texture, all the things to discover. In fact, as I was pulling things out, some of the things are familiar materials, so it'll be interesting how I bring them together in this piece. But yeah, I just love doing this sort of texture play, and I was working on a blanket because I was doing felting as well into it, particularly for the nest. The rest of this was done with punch needling and stitching, and then I've also shown in other videos, and I'll try and remember to link to it, how you can make these little crochet mushrooms, and I've also talked about how I make ones mainly using pipe cleaner, not using and pipe cleaner and wool for the tops of them as well. But I've got another version of a mushroom that I'm going to be showing you today. So yeah, that is a bit of inspiration. I put little gems in as little dewdrops, sort of clustering under this little bracket or plate fungi, and then more little dewdrops along this little piece. So I'll move these out of the way. And apologies for the shadows. It is nighttime after dinner, as it usually is for me when I'm filming. And then I remembered, and I'd actually come across these just recently and put them actually in my box for the previous prompt for the autumn leaves, autumn colours. They are some prints I did using ferns that I picked in the Dandenong ranges. In fact, it was one that had fallen on the ground and I just picked some little bits off it. And then I used some, I think they were acrylic paints that I just, watered down and used a roller and rolled over them. So I kind of got shadow designs. I think I used greens and like a sort of a bronzy colour on this one. I might bring you down a little bit now that we've looked at the bigger format pieces. Hopefully that will be okay. And so yeah, I did prints on both sides, just trying different things out. I think on these ones I actually rolled some paint onto the ferns themselves. Oops, I've got a bit of that, which I'll show you soon, a bit of actual lichen. These ones, that one just with the fern prints itself. This one I think with fern prints sort of a bit more all over it, and I've done some crinkling of it because I was just playing around with different things. But basically my page size is this size. I'll pop one of these out of the way, although I think I'll end up having to bolster this by putting multiple sheets together. So what I am thinking I will do is, first of all, I will, and I'll only be clipping things at the moment because I'll have to kind of work out the order that I do. I usually work on my page first and then attach it to the card. I think in this instance I'm probably going to have to attach it to the card pretty early in the process, and all will be revealed soon about why that's the case. So this is just clipping it for the time being so that we can start to get an idea of things. Fold that under. So I hope you're having a great day. Hopefully if you're taking part in Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, you're excited about this prompt. I get excited about all the prompts, I think. So that will kind of be that part of it. And then I thought I'd use, which one did I think I'd use? Do I want that one? Or do I want this one? I think I want this one because I had done the bit of the green printing of the fern and then printed over it with the other colour. And so I thought I would keep these lovely frayed edges. I'll probably even fray this edge down the bottom a bit more. And just have that sort of coming across. So I needed this top bit of fabric because I need to be wrapping something around the card, but I then wanted to have this come across. I'll probably need to repin these. Always a process, but that's okay. So just kind of getting our base worked out. Now I'll need to actually work out where I position it. Let's have a think. I think I might like to have this smaller one actually part of the design. Yeah, I think I want to have it about like that. Because I don't think I'll have to do that much work on the background. I think I'm kind of going to be working off the page. Again, all will be revealed soon. The benefit is mine isn't folding away like into a box as a book. It is going to be a stand-up display, so I can go quite dimensional if I want to, which I want to, because I love going dimensional. I think it just gives, yeah, so much scope for play. So that will be the page. Can you see? Yes, you can see. Now, when I was in Bright and on holidays and Alex was up skiing, I took Travis a few times actually to one of the lovely, it's a partially fenced dog park. It's fine, Travis doesn't run off anyway. It's near the river, so we'd walk through there, sometimes find a dog for Travis to have a play with, and then head down to the river and Travis could have a swim. Even though it was still, the water was still icy cold, being it was still ski season, but Travis loves his swims. And I noticed in the park there were some beautiful trees with all these lichens and mosses on them. I guess these are more lichens actually. I'll bring them up to the camera so you can have a closer look, and they were just, yeah, absolutely beautiful. And then there were a whole lot of branches that had blown down because we did have, Victoria had some really bad storms while we were up there, so I was able to harvest these, and I brought some back and put them in a vase just outside my craft room across from my little display table. And when we got this prompt, I thought, oh, maybe I can incorporate those again, because this is going to be standing up and displaying. I can really have a bit of fun with having something that comes out from the page and even goes up and beyond the page. So how did I just have it arranged then? I haven't worked out how I'm arranging yet, so this is sort of first, and it is, most of the little bits are staying on pretty well, but there are odd little bits of lichen coming off. But these ones like seem to be anchored pretty securely. I'm aware, obviously, that when you put natural products in, it may sort of degrade over time. I don't think there's any little animals left in this one, so and it will be kind of probably sitting out near to where it's been sitting in its vase anyway. But I think I might like to kind of have it a bit like that. Now, maybe I can still, can I clip them down at all? So we get a bit of a sense of them being somewhere. So maybe I can clip this one over. Maybe I'll put a clip on this. I probably need my bigger. I've got some bigger ones, but they're maybe I don't have some bigger ones. Where can I get it to clip onto? I might just have to clip it up here, I think. Up here, something like this, just to get the idea. And in fact, then maybe I'll just use a bit of yarn down the bottom just to tie the stems together. And ultimately I may have a tie around these because it's meant to be like a field notes journal, I suppose. So it's like having a little specimen or a field notes display book. I was planning, if I had enough time for this field notes project, to also do a little cabinet of curiosities, but it's kind of fun that I've been able to combine dimensional pieces, and this is really bringing that cabinet of curiosities idea into the mix. So yes, we'll just put that on for now as a bit of a concept, and that's sort of, and I don't mind even if when this is on the actual page, if this is coming out, as you can see, because I actually love that it starts to cast a bit of a shadow as well. So this is only the beginning of the fun. Then today, actually let me grab this from behind me. When I was at the reverse art truck a while ago, and I'm pretty sure I showed you this when I was showing one of my reverse art truck finds, I found this large, well not large, I think it would have originally been a large jumper, but it had become shrunk and it felted up. It had this beautiful, what would have been, I think, yeah, florally sort of decorations and bobbles and things on the front of it, but it had absolutely all felted together and become quite a small size. But I thought, wouldn't these features be wonderful to make some mossy sort of features at the base of my piece? So I'm going to bring my little snuggle pot and cuddle pie little bowl down, because I think it's going to help me just sort of prop this up a little bit. Now maybe I will need to bring you up a little bit again. Let me just do that. And I've got so much, if you could see the amount of supplies I have over here, I've been just grabbing things out because I've got so excited. So I'm going to turn my snuggle pot and cuddle pie bowl upside down so I can then prop this up. And so what I did today was I took some of my felty loveliness and I got my Inktense blocks, which I'll show you here. Did this at lunchtime. It was a beautiful warm day, and so I used some of my greeny colours that you can hopefully see there, and I mixed them up. I've actually totally soaked down this piece of wool because the Inktense really needs to be fully activated to take effect. I had this attached to it, which is actually meant to run along that bit. I've just taken it off because I'm not sure I'm going to leave it attached for when I do this particular process. But what I'm planning to do is to have this little mossy area extending down off my page. So it will, when it's actually on the bookshelf, it will sit flat and come out from, well, not totally flat because it's got these lovely little undulations in it, if you can see there, like you can see it underneath. So this one still needs to dry a tiny bit. That's why my fingers have a slightly greeny tinge. But once it's dry, the Inktense will be permanent. So I thought that can just kind of come down. I decided to take this off because I just thought they were a little bit too regular. I might end up just using a little cluster of them as part of something down here. So they're not going to be wasted. But that's the plan for the base. And then, actually, let me leave that there. Let me leave this a little bit propped. Just need to make sure you can kind of see. Then I'm planning, actually I won't get to the mushrooms yet, to use some of this, which I've created a tube of fabric. These were just like woven samples from the reverse art truck, like a woven sort of woolen fabric. Have I got any? Like a thicker one than this, but something, something similar. And then I put a pipe cleaner in the middle of that woven, of the tube that I'd made with the fabric. So with the tube, I basically, stitched down the side, put a pipe cleaner in the middle, and then I've given it this sort of bending, and so it can continue to bend and continue to hold shape. And so I'm kind of thinking I'll have that going along the base of the piece, and I've got some other ones as well. I've got this one with the lovely rooty bits, so they might even sort of come into play maybe where the little tree branchy bits are, and then these might even sort of come up and into and around the piece. I think I've got another one somewhere. I'm russicking through my piles of bits and bobbies over here. If we find them as we go, I can show you those. I've also found some other bits in my texture collection. Problem with the texture collection is everything tries to grab onto itself. I've got this old bit of knitting that I did. I used to make little soft toy animals, knitting to send overseas to an orphanage. And yeah, they were all little animals made out of rectangles or squares, which is all I can actually knit. But I thought we might even be able to kind of make a something with that in here, and then have other mosses sort of coming over it. So I thought that could come into play potentially. And then in our background, and I have cut a few bits off, you can see all the threads are all attaching. I pulled a whole lot of greeny threads out of my ort jar actually, because I thought they could even come in quite well as little mossy bits. But I was thinking to kind of give the sense of the fern, I might even just have some little ferny bits maybe down here would be good. So these can cut off as individual little bits, and I'll probably get my ink tents, I think, stuck into these ones, but they can form a bit of a background, so I'd need to stitch those on before I kind of stitch the piece. But what I'm thinking eventually I'll need to do when I'm starting to assemble these onto the piece is I will need to have it attached to the card. So I'll probably stick it down, put the stitches at the back with the fabric all wrapped around, and then I'll probably do some stitches through to anchor these in place. So yeah, some little ferny bits. And you can also do lovely embroidery to evoke a fern also. But they might just sort of, yeah, go across the background there. Pop the things on the ground as I look at them. So this was just some of the goodies out of my ort jar. And again, I can either sort of felt these together, or I can just sort of, yeah, use little clusters or even clusters of finer bits of thread in and stuff. This was one of the fibres I used when I was doing that other texture piece, but again, it can really evoke the sort of the sense of the lichen. So I can even be adding some fibre lichen to the stem as well, or even to these, as though, yeah, it's growing on these pieces. So those sorts of things, yeah, have a look in your orts jar. It may well furnish some beautiful things. In the texture piece I did at the Fleur Woods retreat, someone had these lovely, and again it's got threads all wrapped around it, but had these, you wouldn't think much of them, they're just like little plasticky flowery bits, but you can just use individual little ones of these heads, and they might give you the sense of little mushroom, little fungi or things. Basically, just if you cut one of these tiny, oops, that one tried to jump away. If you have just, where did it go? There it is. You can just put a stitch through and sort of anchor them into your piece. So one little bunch will go a very long way. I'll probably never need any more little plasticky things. And I don't usually use plastic in my stitch, but in this, I suppose it's no different to button really. I don't usually buy little props or anything to use, but that is kind of cool. And then bits like this, which are just cut off a doily. Again, they could be useful if I wanted to have just a little like lichen-y or fungusy sort of cluster in there. I also pulled out just like this little piece of beading. Probably wouldn't use it with the purples necessarily. I can always put some ink tents on and get it to go more a greeny colour, but they can almost look like little egg clusters. If you want to make a little sort of, if you had a little curve in here, you might make a little egg cave, or they could look like dew, etc. These are some of my favourites, little trims to evoke tiny little mushrooms. So I usually like to have a row of these somewhere in the mix, or to sort of, yeah, meander them around a bit. And I like to really nest the things in so you kind of don't spot them straight away. Have lots of lovely fibres from Karlund yarns like these ones, and again they're great if you want to do some knots, because I might even sort of scrunch this piece up and do some French knots into it to evoke little bits of moss down on the ground. This one's a lovely vintage one on a vintage reel. Just random bits of thread. Probably wouldn't use all the colours in this, but the little browny bits could be great again for sort of evoking moss and lichen. I've pulled out some colours that I thought might be good with the piece again for doing French knots. Some of the colours in this variegated yarn, that one's from Carlund Yarns. That's probably a bit goldy, but it might kind of go with those other pieces. This one I did use for some lichen in my other bird nest piece, and you can see it's kind of the right colour. So I'll put a bit of that here. That's probably a bit too bright of a green, so I'm going to put that back in its yarn drawer next to me. So many of my things are all wound together. Some browny red. That one I'm going to actually just put that under the desk in my because I've still got to finish my leaf prompt. Some other lovely little tidbits of crochet. These are sort of like an eyelash yarn, but again, just great to add that texture, that sense of roots or something like that. Not even sure what this is. I would have got it from, because I've written on here, Myrtleford Op Shop, Brindabella mesh from Bigger Roll. So I must have a bigger roll of this somewhere, probably away in a box. And it's like got 3 sections to it, and it's sort of mesh and 3 colours. But again, that can give you really interesting, even if you wanted to create the sense of bark or something on this, on one of these sort of woven pieces, that could be really fantastic as well. So I'll leave that out. I'm sure I will find some way to incorporate that in. I think I had that from when I was making my little my little buds. So I'm going to put that aside over with my flower jar. Another yarn that I think I got from Carlund Yarns, and it's looks to be a little bit tangled in with a pile of things. But again, it's great for just that sort of, if you want to drape something over, because you know in mossy forests you tend to get that sort of draping effect. Some more lovely variegated thick yarn. Again, you can couch this down, or you might be able to do some French knots with it if you've got a big enough needle, but I'd probably be couching that. And then this one's another beautiful variegated yarn to couch down. This was just one of the, these are sort of like the aughts from pulling apart bits of fabric, probably when I was doing these sorts of things. Don't know whether I need black, although it might be kind of good to create a bit of a background to give that sense of depth to the piece. So again, I'll keep that out. Oh, that was from when I was doing one of my original midnight wildflower garden videos for the Down the Garden Path piece. I'm just going to put that in my scrap jar. This was a piece from the Fleur Woods workshop. I think she might have, did she come around and give us all a piece of this? I think so. So I'd had it pinned up with something else from Fleur Woods workshop on my pin board, but I thought potentially if I want to dye some of these, I thought again, if I wanted something coming out a bit textural, it's almost got a bit of starch or something to it. So I thought I could have that coming out. So I'll keep that and have a bit of a ponder on what I want to do. I've got a whole big bag of this yarn. I got it from the Embroiderers Guild D stash. Again, I think it'll be great to fringe it out like I did on the other piece and use it as little tufts, but it'd also be good for doing French knots. Keep that out. Tiny little bit of variegated wool, but again, could be useful. We don't need the pink. Some colours that might be good. It's probably a little bit more on the blues, so I will put that to the side. Some more bits of aughty goodness, and then one of these little tassels. But again, there's possibilities in this. Again, I wouldn't have it keep it in its white form. I'd probably use some Inktense on it. Some more lovely variegated yarns, just interesting small amounts. I love getting the mill end bundled from Carlund Yarns. I haven't seen them have them for a while. I've still got plenty left, but I'd probably stock up if I saw they had some more in stock. And again, some more Carlund yarns. There's some blues in there, but you just could, yeah, sort of avoid using those pieces. You might have seen this little glittery one, which you might normally look at and think, oh, would I put that in the piece? But just little quantities of it, like I did do in my piece. I'm just picking it up now. I just used some of it down along this bit of the piece, and it, yeah, I think it works quite well. So yeah, I'll probably keep that out. Even bits of things like ribbons, whether you want to kind of give a little sense of a little moss, or if you want to just use it to add some almost like dew or something like that. If you are creating a little sort of crevice in here, you could give the sense of water, for example, a little pooling water in there. So I'll keep that out. Just trying to give you lots of ideas if you want to start playing with texture. Now this is that wired ribbon. So again, it's great if you want to start creating some, it's only lightly wired, but it will hold its shape. So if you want to create some little bits of fungi, could be great for that. Got so many laces and things, but I just grabbed out some. This one kind of holds its texture really well. So again, could make that little sort of like plate fungi. I just think, yeah, these things will really add interest to your piece. This is a very fine little gimp, I think is what they call it. So again, I tend to find with these pieces, you want to make little colonies of things, and just even putting a little cluster of that, you get all the interesting, it looks like you've done stitches, but it's kind of the easy way to get texture. Some more bits, including a little felted bit, and I haven't even talked about adding felting into this. I did felting into the other piece if I think I need it, or maybe making some fungi sort of pieces. That's probably a bit too, I'll keep it out because some of the greens might be okay. This is a second-hand yarn, but it's a lovely variegated sort of browny, almost a bit of gold and goldy sort of yellow, and some darker black. So keep that out. Oh, here's another one of my threads, or my off-cut bits of fabric sewn into a tube, and then having a pipe cleaner woven through them, and with this one I've also wrapped it around. The fabric actually had some lovely fringy bits on it, and that's why it's got that lovely look with all those bits off it. So again, I think these will just add a lot of interest, and they can be sort of positioned however I want them. And then this one would go quite well, I think, with the piece. Even bits of twine. I think this would have come out of like a wrapping present sort of twine mix. But again, you can just get that lovely fibre. Probably don't need my cork. I did just grab it out of my texture bag in case I want to create something more, but I think there's enough that's dimensional. Just a random bit of cut up tablecloth. But I might keep that out because it might even be handy for my mushrooms, because they have those little sort of frilly bits around underneath them. This was some of the fibre that we were using at the Fleur Woods workshop. Again, you can either use it white, although probably for this piece I'd apply some Inktense to it if I want to do that. I feel like I've got so much here, I'm not going to need to use all these pieces, but just sharing ideas. I've used this, what did I use this recently in? It's, oh, that's right, I used it as a layer over that quite bright butterfly fabric to really sort of give it that vintage look. But it's lovely because it kind of doesn't totally hold its shape, but does hold its shape a little bit. It's almost like, I don't know what they've put in it, but yeah, it does create a textural form. I don't think I've tried dyeing this, so that would be interesting to try with the Inktense. This is a little collar piece, but again, I just thought if you want to kind of create that sense of that bracket fungi or something. Could be great for that. It's kind of the right shape. Some eyelash yarn. Again, don't know if I need the goldy gold, but I'll keep it out. Some more just different bits of yarn. That's a lovely, like for a mushroom undercolour. There's another scrappy bit of that one, and a bit of the scrappy brown. Probably don't need to keep that bit. Some more orts. Oh, and then I've got one of these attached. These are just like little rings. I think I may have even just done little wire rings, and then wrapping and looping a thread around. I think it's almost like a form of crochet. I kind of just do it by instinct. And you can keep kind of going out and adding more around it, but it's fun if you want to create a little hollow or a little hole, and that's where you might then put something like your little bit of, where did my little eggy beaded piece go? I don't know, now it's hiding from me, but that's okay. That's okay. We will find it later. We'll find it later. Oh, I just found something over here that I want to include. You might have seen my recent lovely haul video from the lovely Gail from Gladdy and Flo, and when I got this little button I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great as a little mushroom? Little did I know that it would probably be coming and joining this piece before we know it. But yeah, basically now I've found some other beaded stuff so I can show you the idea. If I wanted like a little beaded little crevice, you could kind of shape your woolliness, and then you could have your little beadiness sitting inside. I hope you can kind of see that. Maybe I should actually, I'm going to just bring you down and see if we can better show you what I'm seeing, because I worry that from above it might not be giving you the full effect. So yeah, beautiful. But this is probably more a sort of a duck egg blue, but I could always give it a bit of colouring, but I probably don't need that much beading. Again, I'd need to colour this, but yeah, sometimes braids and things can be handy. Just another natural coloured lace that I can always add some colour to, some other little lace offcuts. This, I think it's used for macrame, isn't it? You can make lovely little tufty bits by tying a knot in the end. And then you can actually do a couple of them if you want at a time, and then these can just, yeah, sort of spring up out of your piece. So that's just another thought. Oops, pipe cleaner, keep that out. Again, I think this one might have been what I used for the fungus in the last piece. So again, it can be handy. You can also sometimes use, and I have in this piece down here, use little doily pieces to make a cob web, and I put little beads on that one, and that one actually goes all the way through to the back. So that was a lot of fun to create. Let's put that over here. Here's another one of my little wire loops with sort of weaving around it. Another little hole, a holy hole. Shall leave that there. What else have I got over here? Some more wools, more fibres. Just yeah, having choices to play with. A little tassel. Again, I could. You never know. You can have white things, like just having little things peeking out. Yeah, that looks quite cute actually. Buttons, probably these, not these ones. So I'm going to throw those into my button jar. I have so many buttons, but this is just a small selection. Just having a look through what you have that might be also interesting for texture. Well, I've got these funny ones that always remind me of brains, but maybe they would be good as a little fungus as well. Got a few of those. You just never know. For a moment I thought I was going to get my wrist caught in the jar. That would be a bit embarrassing. I wouldn't even be able to, no, I'd be able to stop the video with the other hand, wouldn't I? So yeah, grab a few of those out. Probably don't need those ones, but you never know. Just noticed a little crochet thing. Yeah. Few buttons into the mix, some feltiness, so again that can always just And I can potentially do that into some of these pieces. I'll definitely be able to felt into the lower piece as well if I want to, even once it's attached. Some more aughty bits from pulling apart things, so I'll just keep those all in a pile to draw from. Some more lovely wools, some brownie coloured lace. Again, it's all just about adding texture. Don't need that. Some more interesting wool colours. Oh, here's another one of my pipe cleaners with a fringy edge. Some more orts. This is the edge probably of a trim. But again, it saves you doing all of that turkey work. Again, you can colour it up, but it gives you, turkey work-like effect with no little effort. Some more of my lovely mushroom trim. Some more of that wool from the Fleur's Retreat. A little doily offcut. More of that, some different yarns, some more fibre-y sort of pieces. These are like Hessian trims. Again, you can wrap things with them. Some more aughty bits. Kind of got a good resource of aughts in and edgy pieces of fabrics in all colours. Another bit of that trim, smaller section. Some of this sort of fluffy, this again came in the Carlund yarns. I haven't used it, like I wouldn't use it for stitching, but I think it could be quite good for a piece like this. I might even add a bit more mossy colours to it. And then in one of my recent outings to the reverse art truck, I got all these shoelaces, and I thought I could potentially use them inside when I don't want to use pipe cleaners. I think they'll kind of hold a bit of shape, but not fully hold shape. And then I've also got this, which I got from the reverse art truck, which, has a bit of structure in it as well. Probably don't need those for this. Then I've just got like a little edgy piece off something. Again, you can use little scraps of fabric. I'd probably dye if I was going to use it, but you can, use it to kind of create texture and shape. These projects are great for making you look at your supplies in a different way. Probably won't use that because it's a bit too regular. So I think that's most of what I have pulled out. I'm just having a looky over here. Yes. So we might move on then to making some mushrooms. So I'm just going to take this one. Actually, no, maybe I'll just move that to the back. So let's have a look at these mushrooms, and we'll make one of these together. Where has my baby mushroom gone? There it is. There it is. So I've left the threads attached because I figured, well, I can use the threads when I sew them down. But it's basically a yo-yo or Suffolk puff and then a roll of fabric for the middle. So really easy to make. If you weren't doing a fully textured piece, you could still use a similar concept and just have them anchored down to your piece. You'd probably make the stem less bulgy out. But you could still, take advantage of them. Or I was thinking you could actually do them in a half Suffolk puff shape. Let me have a look. I had just a plain white one over here. They could be coming out from your piece sort of a little bit, bent over. Or you could just, have them just sitting up a little bit. You can play around, and you can just use, even if you want to just use a little pipe cleaner as the stem. But you could have it almost sitting down a bit flatter against your piece. But I definitely want mine to be textural and kind of sitting in that front landscape of the piece that we were just laying out very, very basically. So for these I was using, and I'm going to use this for the example as well, and I think we'll make one of the cute little small ones. They will probably be the better size, but I might use a variety. So I'm going to need my Suffolk puff makers, but you can just make these freehand as well, so you don't have to use them. I draw a dot on mine so I can see where the top is, and so I can line up the other top bit because they go together best that way. I've been using the fluffier front, but they'd be equally lovely with this side of them as well. Should I maybe... I think I like the white side, but maybe I should do the other side just to see how they turn out. And so this will be the front of your Suffolk puff. So decide whether I want it to have sort of a section. And then you're going to cut out with a bit of a area around it. You can always trim it down if you end up with too much of an area around. Now where's my top? There's my top. With these you don't always get that clicky sound all the way around because it is a thicker fabric. But I wanted something that had a fair bit of structure to it. I was using a smaller needle now. We'll see if this will go through the holes. If not, I'll need to change. Oops. And trim off your little end. But yeah, you can, actually no, I will need a smaller needle. It's not going to like that big one. Just use my chenille needle. Maybe try the other side of the chenille needle or trim my thread if I need to. Oops, maybe that wasn't the other side of it. I'm just going to trim the end. Now if I wasn't so excited I would have pre-threaded my needles, but I'm excited. Making a mess of that, aren't I? These are thicker crochet. I don't know if this was the one I think this is what I was actually using on my little prototype of a piece of clothing out of a vintage item, which you'll have to stand by because I'm still just thinking it through. Been thinking it through for a few weeks now. I saw the lovely Marion from Marion's World. She's done something similar, but she's using a sewing machine, whereas mine's a slow stitch version. Come on, click together, will you? Just need it to be lined up so that your needle will go through where it needs to go through. So with the Suffolk puff makers, you actually put two stitches through the starting holes. Oops, try not to catch your back fabric. And then you continue your way around after that. So you're just holding down the fabric at the back. But yeah, it definitely helps. I find that these Suffolk puff makers make it much quicker when you're normally not getting things sticking like I am. It's always the way. Turn the camera on and what was easily happening before, everything always gets hard again, doesn't it? Now why is that catching as well? See, normally you don't have a little knot in your thread. You need this to all pull at the end to gather it up, so you want to make sure there's no little knots in your work. Sometimes I don't think I've lined it up quite as well as I should if it's harder to kind of find your way through the holes. As I say, it's a bit harder when you've got a thick fabric like this upholstery fabric. Had a very simple dinner tonight, quiche and some salad and a few little potato gems. I love a potato gem. been such a warm day, 27 degrees. You hear my belly making noises, digesting. And so then you gather up your fabric. So I am using, this stronger sort of crochet thread because I find it's a pretty good thread to use. So you're going to keep pulling and pulling. And so I left quite a decent edge on this one, so it's going to give it plenty of, I guess, almost like an internal stuffing. So I'm just tucking, making sure it's tucking nicely under as I go around before I give it the full tighten up. Just want to make sure the sort of the raw edges are inside. And then give it a good tug to tighten it up. And then you want to put a holding stitch in or two to make sure it stays nice and tight, and you don't want to get a notch. Got random loose threads, I think, probably from the fabric. So I'm going to do a notch. And don't worry, you actually want to have a little bit of a centre hole in these because that will be then when you create your little stem. So I'll take one of my scrappy areas. Again, I can pull some orts. I can add those to my orts. When you start doing these texture pieces, you never kind of end up with anything being wasted. And I'll trim this down a smidge. Probably won't need all of this, but what I'm then going to do is just to roll myself a little stem. Now this one won't have to be that big, so I think that will almost be enough like that, and I probably don't need it quite as tall, so I might cut that little endy piece off. I'm going to give it another tightening roll like this, and going to poke that into the centre. So I've left my thread threaded, and we're going to use that same thread to come through our Suffolk puff and to pop out. And I'll just give this another roll because it got a little bit loose in the process. You kind of need three hands for this manoeuvre. It's actually not too bad. Usually it stays in okay if you give it a good poke. Hang on, let me just get the needle out of the way so I don't give myself a different sort of poke. But yeah, I'm just going to get this into the centre nicely and shape it up. You can also shape up the stem a bit with your stitches anyway. But I'm going to go through that middle stem and catch the other side of the Suffolk puff to anchor it. And then I'll just continue putting some little sort of invisible stitches through that's anchoring the top of the mushroom. To the Suffolk puff. Like this. And then going to give it another bit of a roll, a rolly roll. And I'm going to work my way down the stem, just putting in some stitches to anchor the raw edge. Again, you could fold it under if you want. I don't mind a little bit of fringiness because the mushrooms do generally have that little frill. So I'm just doing kind of invisible stitches, but making sure I pop out and anchor down over the fold of the fabric. So I'm just really popping down from similar to where I come up, so I'm not leaving white stitches. You could get an exactly matching yarn, but because I'm doing this sort of invisible angled stitching, it doesn't matter. And I suppose the fabric has little spots on it anyway, so and what I will do is then work up the other way, just kind of pulling the stem in on itself, so it gets that sort of tightness to it. So I'm going through the stem sort of at the other angle now. Just pulling my thread nice and tight. But yeah, I do like this colour. I may even like it better than the other colour, then I'll have to make even more mushrooms in this colour. I think I'll have to make a little pin cushion for myself that has lots of these mushrooms coming out of a felted base. I think that could be a very cute little collection. So you tell me, which do you, actually I should compare like for like. This one's got a thicker stem, but which do you prefer? Do you like the grey colour or do you like the whiter colour? And I guess I'll have to look at it in the context of my piece as well and the colours, but maybe having both. These actually look like different mushrooms. And this one, I think, because I left more extra fabric around the outside, it's got that thicker sort of little top on it, which is sweet as well. So yeah, I'll definitely make some more of these. And then, yeah, I'll just be anchoring them into my piece, and it may well be. I may well even have a family of 5. It will have to be an odd number because I always do an odd number. Yeah, sitting at the front, I can just let me bring this down again for you. Obviously, it's not at all properly laid out the way it will be, but just to give you an idea. So these ones can be sitting down in the foreground. I suspect this will probably end up being the cover of, I'll probably have, yeah, autumn and winter on one and spring and summer. And so my bird nest will probably be the cover on the spring, summer. And then this will probably be the cover on my autumn, winter. But yeah, I'll have to make another little mushroom, I think. Could even use the Inktense and turn some of these into like those red toadstools, but we don't really get those as much, not in the Dandenongs, which is what I'm going to model this off. So I hope you enjoyed that. And then, yeah, I was thinking that if you wanted to create little fringy bits, I'm going to look at some photos of mushrooms, but you could just use little offcuts of your little doilies and other bits even. Sometimes these sorts of bits, you could use them as the little fringy bit that goes around. Even if you cut one of these, you can probably almost, yeah, wrap it around. So that's just another idea. I suppose you could even, if it was really fringy, I don't think they end up quite as, oh, maybe they do. So that's another possibility. I could just trim these ones down. And these would also make great little roots. I'll have to check what the roots of mushrooms look like. And I suppose I can always have a mushroom sort of nested a bit back in the piece as well. So that's a lot of fun. I am excited again. I get excited so regularly with these projects and with my own projects. Last night I was stitching in advance our stitch along piece for this weekend on Saturday night. If you feel like stitching along with us, where we're stitching 1800s embroideries, and this is the embroidery design for this week. I don't know if I should give you, will I give you a very quick sneak peek? There's a quick sneak peek. So yeah, beautiful owl, which again fits well with this forest woody, mossy loveliness. So thanks so much for watching. I will let you go, and I'll see you soon. I'll start doing some work, I think, on this and just working out the sequencing. Bye, everyone.